So Nagatoro, episode 1, comes bursting out of the gate with a whole pile of controversy surrounding it, and you have on one side, you have those that are like, this is a funny, teasing rom-com, it's reminiscent of Uzaki Chan, and you just have people enjoying the comedy aspect, some of the awkward nature of it, etc., etc. They're not taking it too seriously. And then you have the other side that watched it, and they're like, they feel like this is a very uncomfortable or awful episode because of just the way the main female character, Nagatoro, is. And in all honesty, I understand both sides, actually. I really do. Normally, I would want to side with those. It's just an anime, it's comedy. But when you really do look at Nagatoro and her interactions with the MC, you definitely could see a lot of malicious stuff from her. I mean, you even have these little scenes where she's like, why aren't you getting angry? Which does hint that maybe she's doing this purposely to spark a reaction for he can get angry and say what he wants to say, finally be true to himself. But even if that may be the case, I could see why some might be, uncomfortable with what this first episode does. So just looking at both sides, I kind of expected this series to be a little bit controversial because I remember reading the first chapter. I was like, oh man, if this ever gets an anime, like, there's probably gonna be some form of, controversy surrounding it, and obviously that has now happened. So basically, this is a type of series to where you love it, or you hate it. Now, personally, I enjoyed the first episode, but once again, like I said, even though I enjoyed it, I can understand the other side. I fully understand why some would not want to continue watching this because of the nature of it, and let's dive into the nitty-gritty and why one side doesn't like it. If you remember Uzaki Chan, basically, it was about this girl that was teasing her senpai, and she kind of broke him out of his shell. That's what the whole premise of it was. I talked about this in my episode reviews, that Uzaki, even though she looked malicious, she really wasn't. She was really actually helping out the main male character, helping him kind of come out of his isolation, his loner nature, and allow him to actually experience life as a student, and a college student. So she was helping him in the end, and she was just being very forceful about it, and it kind of did rub people the wrong way, but in the end, it wasn't really malicious, it was just teasing, and it seemed really nice nature overall when you really take a step back and you look at it. Then you fast forward to this first episode, Nagatoro, and you can see once again some similarities. You have it to where Nagatoro, she is teasing her senpai that she encountered. Now, they're not childhood friends by any means, for what we could see. It's just she noticed him, she took an interest in him, and then now she's basically constantly teasing him, borderline being kind of malicious about it. I even see that, and so that's kind of the difference. It's kind of cranking up Uzaki-chan to a 10, like the whole teasing nature of it. It's extreme. And I do think, though, those that watch this, they might not enjoy the comedy because of that aspect, because some of the things she does to him is kind of mean to a certain degree. Like, what she says about, like, oh, you want to go out, and then she's like, oh, no, of course not, who would want to go out with you? And the way she just says that is very rude. I will admit, that is a very rude thing to say to someone, get their hopes up, especially someone that is socially awkward, to say that to them, and then, do that. And that gets into the main point to talk about. You have the main male character. He isn't like a college student that's just a loner. He's a guy that is socially awkward. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not the most socially perfect person either. I'm pretty socially awkward in public. I'm not even going to lie to you. I am. Like, I have had problems to where I can't look people in the eyes. I'm serious. It's true. I know some might laugh at me for saying this, but it is true. I have that type of problem. And basically, when I saw this episode, I could relate with the main male character for his awkward nature of, not really wanting to stare at someone, not look at them, and just, constantly shifting, being very nervous when someone was behind them, etc., in the same room with people talking about this subject. It's very uncomfortable, and I fully understand that emotion the MC was feeling. But when I do take a look at what Nagatoro was doing, yes, it does come off mean to him, because he is socially awkward. He doesn't understand social cues to the same way because he didn't get to have that experience. But when you really think about it, Nagatoro is being kind of vicious to a certain degree, maybe to kind of just show him that if you can handle me, you can move on and have a really good life. Now, obviously, the opposite could happen. She could force him to regress even further and go even tighter into a shell. But the point, though, is when I look at the situation, she is being mean, but once again, if he gets angry and she actually makes him like angry and start to say his feelings or thoughts, she might be able to open up his shell where he will no longer just bottle it up inside. He'll act anxious, just be able to overcome these problems ahead of him. Now, this situation is not going to work for every individual, but it's clear that she does have an interest in him, and this goes back to the age-old thing that many probably have seen from movies, shows, etc., to where it's like, if someone is interested in an individual, sometimes they'll start to tease you, poke you, whatever. This is probably something everybody has heard at least once in their life, something like that. And Nagatoro clearly is interested in our MC, the main male character. It's obvious. It's very obvious. But the way she goes about it isn't obviously right, but she's clearly interested in him, and she's trying to just basically say, you don't need to be so shy, scared, and when she accidentally pushed him into the water, you could see she was shocked. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. She actually showed remorse, and she was sorry, but when he walked off and didn't say anything, she's like, why aren't you getting angry? You could see that she realized in that moment, like, it's much more than just being socially awkward. He literally allowed people just to walk all over him and not do anything about it. And after that moment, you can see where Nagatoro kind of shifts a little bit. Her overall demeanor and the way she acts towards him does get a little bit nicer, and we might see maybe some shifts or changes in the next episode of the anime. But getting into my thoughts, personally, I like the first episode. I really do. Even though I can understand both sides, I like this first episode. I enjoyed it. I even had a few good laughs. And so, I'm going to keep watching. I enjoyed it. But, like I said, I understand why some won't. I don't feel like this issue is as, simplistic or stupid as Uzaki Chan was, where how people were very upset with her having big opie and she was short stacked. I never understood that argument. That didn't make sense to me. I was just like, okay, just quiet. But this one, I understand. Now, going a little bit further, I do want to talk about some of the things that make this episode good, though, and enhances it beyond what I read of the manga, the first chapter. The art animation is absolutely mind-blowing. Like, it blew my mind. Like, there is a scene to where Nagatoro starts to move around the senpai, and you see the actual camera start shifting and moving around her and makes it feel very 3D-like, and it's not CG from what I could see, and just the way there's certain camera angles and everything done, constantly rotating around the characters, I feel like there was a lot of attention to detail put into this. There is really good art animation for this series. I would dare say the best art animation of this anime season. I'm not even gonna kid you. It really does look that good, and I'm very impressed, but usually when it comes to rom-com series, romance, slice life series, they typically do have good art animation, but even then, though, this was something I did not expect in terms of just how high quality it was, and the opening song is really good, too. Probably my favorite opening song of this season. But, yeah, just art animation's great, and also that leaves me to talk about the voice actors. The voice actors of this series, I feel, fit perfectly with the individual characters. Like, we have Nagatoro, her voice actor, she's Shaltir, I believe. If you know who Shaltir is from Overlord, she's like a sadistic vampire. So, it kind of makes sense when you look at Nagatoro's character, and the voice actor really does fit perfectly. I think that was a great choice. And then you look at our MC, the main male character, Senpai, he is the voice actor of Izuku from My Hero Academia. So, it's just like, it's the perfect voice actors. The VAs are perfect for the individual characters because Izuku, he's already socially awkward kind of in, the anime, in the manga. And when you see how he is in this, it's kind of cranking up a little bit. And then Nagatoro's voice actor has a lot of expertise with this type of character. So it's just like the voice actor picks were perfect. I feel like they couldn't have been any better. They fit their roles to the T. And so I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. Did Nagatoro go too far? That is the question. Personally, I don't think so, but obviously that's up to everyone to believe what they feel about it. So let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about the controversy, English fails me right now. How do you feel about everything that's surrounding this series right now? Do you think it's warranted? Not warranted? Were you uncomfortable watching this? Were you comfortable watching this? Tell me your honest thoughts in the comments below. I am very curious to see what everybody feels about this. But with that, guys, I love you. Be safe. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe, like this video, please leave a like. Helps me out a lot. Allows the video to get notified for all of you to see, and it helps out with the algorithm. But guys, be safe. Chibi out.